Can you grow roses from seeds? The answer is absolutely. So many of you guys asking me this question, and some of you guys wanted me to walk you through all the steps and see which step that you might have missed. Although I may or may not be able to reply to every single one of you and check on every single one of your seedlings for you, I thought I would just make a video on giving you all of the deets on how to grow roses from seeds. First and foremost, there's two requirements that you need to know. Number one is that roses will need a cold treatment. Number two is that you need to understand this is a lengthy process, so you need a lot of patience, okay? Before you start your first attempt on growing roses from seeds, I think it's really important for you to understand what naturally happens in nature. In one of my videos previously, I've talked about how roses will form these rose hips if you do not deadhead your roses after each bloom has faded. The center of each rose bloom will start forming and start ripening into one of these rose hips. Inside will be the seeds that you need to extract to use for germination. Usually if you just let your blooms fade on its own, the rose hips will form and ripen up in November. That is when you should start harvesting them. You can carefully open these babies up and extract the seeds and store it in a nice clean Ziploc bag. Or if you have extras that you want to store away, that saves you a little bit of time, is that you can let these rose hips and just dry entirely on its own and storage them in Ziploc bags. Do know that all of the seedlings will have expiration date, okay? Just like any other seeds. Now in nature, what usually will happen to these rose hips if no one goes to remove them or extract them is that it will probably take another year for these to fall to the ground to naturally winterize in the soil over a winter. And yes, you heard correctly, about a year or so from this point, okay? That happens in nature. And we also call that process of cold treatment cold stratification. Now you might be asking, how do we replicate this process, this lengthy process in nature, and replicate that inside our house with a shorter amount of time? I'm gonna walk you through step by step, so make sure you save this video just so you can reference back whenever you need a reminder. Now the first step is that whether if you're growing from packaged seeds that you got from any retailers, or dried rose hip that you've saved from previous year, or freshly picked ripened rose hip, I need you to soak it in water at least for overnight, okay? Then we're gonna make sure that we have a growing medium. My preferred growing medium is either vermiculite, or some people do it with perlite. I also love to use my rose potting mix as well. Those are all options for you, and you need to make sure that all of these mediums are moist. Moist meaning not dry, not sopping soggy wet. Next, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna take a small container, preferably with the top. You are going to put in probably about a couple inches of your growing medium, and then lay down a layer of your rose seeds evenly, and then cover it with a very thin, not even 1 inch, probably around 1 inch of the same growing medium, and then cover it on top. Now after that, all you need to do is pop them in the fridge. Now people usually keep their fridge between 35 to 39 Fahrenheit. Now the fridge is gonna help us replicate that winter season inside the fridge for us. And this is gonna be a long waiting game. Usually it will take about 12 weeks until you start seeing these seeds start germinating. Once your seed germinates, you are going to take it out of the fridge after 3 months, and this is when you prepare a bigger pot. Usually I like to use those nursery seedling trays that are about 1 quart, or you can just use normal seedling trays that has about a dozen little pots on the inside. You can use those and get some of your preferred potting mix. I like mine. You can go watch that video of how I mix my own potting mix, or you can continue to use vermiculite or store-bought potting mix. You are going to gently take each seedling that have germinated and very gently repot it into your seedling trays. Now this process, you will probably want to keep these babies inside a greenhouse, or if you're in an area that's warm enough in the spring when this process happens, you can actually keep it outside and just make sure you watch it. Just in case if the outside temp drops below 60, you might want to bring it back inside into a greenhouse and continue to raise it for maybe another year. I did not lie about this being a process, didn't I? So after about a year of you transferring your germinated seed into a cells tray, your seedling should be as tall as about 6 to 8 inches at this point. Then your next move will be potting it into a proper size pot, something that is at least 4 to 6 inches. And at that point, the seedling that you have successfully germinated and turned into a small rose starter plant should be stable enough to stay in that pot for the next year. In conclusion, the cold treatment and lots of patience and a lot of watering and watching the temp is so important for you to be able to grow roses from seeds. For those of you who are wondering if you're doing this correctly, make sure you watch this video from beginning to end. That way you don't miss a step, okay? I would love to hear from you in the comment section to let me know if you have grown roses from seeds, or if you're planning on growing roses from seeds. Don't forget to share, like, and save this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy planting. Bye, Rose Besties.